You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives soap fans. It's Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to talk about Sarah Horton's comeback to Days of Our Lives. And of course, she's pregnant and lying about who her baby daddy is. And we have to wonder if word of her pregnancy lie is going to leak back to Salem, because in her new scenes, she is in fact in Chicago, but someone finds out about her baby bump. We're going to dig into that in just a second. But if you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, everything you need to know to enjoy the NBC Peacock soap that's streaming 5 days a week for your enjoyment. So let's dig in. We've got spoilers for the week of May 29th through June 2nd about Sarah Horton. Now, she left back, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember when her last scenes were. March 23rd. I actually had made a note of that. So she has been gone 2 months, and she was pregnant when she left, but not showing yet. And so because of her return to DOOL, I'm definitely expecting lies. So there's no doubt that she's going to lie about the baby in her belly. She and Rex Brady had already agreed to this lie before they left Salem together. They left, they went to Chicago. Rex is a doctor there. She's a doctor. It looks like she got a job as well. And she was so upset with Xander because his actions led to the death of Susan Banks, and he had kidnapped Bonnie. And just when she thought he was really had turned over this new leaf, she found out that he was still a villain. And of course, his motives were good. He wanted to provide for Sarah as his wife, and he was broke at the time. But the actions he took hurt people, and she just couldn't live with it anymore. She's forgiven him so much, but she just can't forgive this anymore. So here we go. Sarah is living with Rex in Chicago, and Rex is fully willing to raise that baby as his own. It's not clear yet from the spoiler if Sarah and Rex are romantically involved or they're basically just roommates and co-workers and co-secret keepers. What we do know about Days of Our Lives is that Ron Carlivati loves to repeat storylines. That's why he's called Rerun. And this Sarah pregnancy plot already kind of played out with her last pregnancy. You may recall several years back, Sarah Horton got pregnant by then boyfriend Eric Brady. And at the time that she and Eric were involved, he thought Nicole was dead. Nicole was actually, I think, forced to marry Xander, and they were living in that apartment. It was so weird. But anyway, so then word comes out that Nicole's back to life, and Eric basically walked away from Sarah. He just did. He just wanted to be with Nicole, and Sarah was crushed, but she also wasn't going to stop him. At the same time, Xander Cook was already crushing on Sarah, and he really wanted to be with her. If I recall correctly, they had like one night of passion when she was completely distraught over her and Eric calling things off. And then when she turned up pregnant, of course, she knew it was Eric's baby. But at the same time, she didn't want to take Eric from Nicole just because she was pregnant. She knew how much Eric wanted a baby. He has no biological children, and she just didn't want that. So she decided to lie about that pregnancy, and Xander immediately suggested that he'd claim the baby as his, and he did, and he supported her throughout the pregnancy. He was so good to her. He was smitten with her, and then tragedy happened, okay? And that's, of course, she was in that car wreck where Adrian was driving her, and they were hit by Maggie Horton's car. Actually, remember, Maggie was set up. She wasn't the one driving. Adrian died as a result of that wreck, and then the baby died, and so Xander swapped the dead baby for Kristen's little baby, Rachel Black. And so then Sarah and Xander were raising little Rachel for quite a while before the truth came out. So the bottom line is, you know, and then Sarah had to give the baby back when the truth came out. Of course, the baby stealing wasn't her fault, but she already knows that baby lies are bad and they lead to trouble. She should know better. And so it's hard to see her back on Days of Our Lives ready to tell more lies. But I would also be surprised if Sarah was back to DOOL with the intent to come clean to Xander about the baby. And as a matter of fact, when we saw that Sarah Horton is back, you might think, oh, she's back in Salem. No, she's not. She's in Chicago, and Bonnie Kiriakis comes to visit. Meanwhile, back in Salem, there's a whole lot changing for her baby daddy, Xander. Xander makes a job offer to Chloe Lane, and she decides to come work at The Spectator, even though Gwen isn't happy. And Xander and Chloe are roommates, and from the outside looking in, it definitely looks like Xander and Chloe are getting involved. That's what he and Gwen are fighting about. Brady's really upset about her. But actually, Xander and Chloe are just friends without benefits right now. Of course, that could change at any time. And there's no doubt that Bonnie is going to share some news about Xander and what's going on in his life when she runs into Sarah. Bonnie shows up looking for Rex Brady. Okay, she doesn't come there expecting to find Sarah, and then she finds Sarah, and then there's that, baby bump. But Sarah does not want Xander to know about this. She's still very upset that he and Gwen stole The Spectator from her family, from Jennifer Horton and Jack Devereaux, via blackmail. This is all just rubbing her the wrong way, and she fully intended to stay in Chicago and raise Xander's baby as the child of her and Rex. But it definitely seems like that's all going to change soon because of Bonnie Kiriakis coming to town. So when Bonnie sees Sarah at Rex Brady's house in Chicago and she sees that she's visibly pregnant, Bonnie's initial question is going to be, is this Xander's baby? Because that's the obvious question and the obvious answer. And right away, we're going to know what Sarah's intentions are by how she answers Bonnie. And of course, since Xander is a Kiriakis, no doubt Bonnie is keeping tabs on him, and she may feel Sarah Horton in. She may tell him that he's living with Chloe now and that he's done with Gwen. And so Sarah might think, okay, Xander has replaced me with Chloe, because Sarah was the good girl that Xander loved, that wanted him to be a better man, and he wanted to be a better man for her. And now that she's gone, maybe Sarah will say, oh, look, he just found a replacement. He found Chloe, another good girl, so he definitely doesn't need me in his life. And I don't want to be raising a baby with a man who is kidnapping people and costing people's lives. So we are going to talk about this more in just a second, but if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and other update. Realistically, I was expecting that we wouldn't see Sarah Horton for like a year. And then I thought she might come back to Salem, to the show, with a kid who was a year or two old. You know how they play with time and do SORAS, soap opera rapid aging syndrome, on kids in soap operas. I really wasn't expecting to see Sarah while she was baby bumping and pregnant. So I was super excited to see these spoilers, because I love when Days of Our Lives does something I wasn't expecting. When I think they're going to zig and they zag, I think it's great. But at the same time, I really love Xander's dynamic with Chloe, and I have to wonder if Sarah Horton is going to come back to Salem at some point, or if this is just a one-off appearance, just to remind fans, oh, by the way, Sarah is pregnant. Is this a drive-by, or is this some kind of sign that we are going to get Sarah back on the show full-time? And it seems like if she hears from Bonnie that Xander is still working with Gwen, and now he's living with Chloe, maybe Sarah will think there's definitely no room for me in his life. I mean, but Xander would be so adorable if he knew that Sarah had his baby in her belly, because he was such a good little daddy to baby Rachel Black, and it was just adorable. But the bottom line is Sarah is going to tell some lies and try to keep her ruse going, and we'll have to see how long that can last and how long before she's back in Salem, either heavily pregnant or with Xander's baby in her arms, and how long will they try and keep this Rex Brady lie going. We'll see.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.